Welcome to the Women's Rugby Rundown for May 20th through the 26th. The HSBC Sevens Grand Final and playoffs kick off in Madrid next weekend, with teams competing for the title and spots in the Sevens 2025 circuit. Fijiana Sevens and Kenya Lionesses continue to face financial challenges, while Japan won the Asia Championships. In the Oceania Championships, Fiji dominated Tonga, while the Black Ferns crushed Australia in the Pacific Four Series. ARC Lowlanders won the Amanda Mark Cup and the Bingham Cup in Roma, and we take a look at all of our global premiere and competitions worldwide. Get ready for a journey through the latest in women's rugby. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off. We'll start with Sevens news. The HSBC Sevens Madrid Grand Finale is next weekend. And of course, what we've been talking about is it's a different set of pools. The top 8 teams are in that championship pool, and they are competing to win the first ever title. So it's a winner takes all weekend. Have to imagine that New Zealand, Australia, maybe France, and the United States, Ireland's won a stop this year. All are big contenders, but it's all for the big win on the day. And then that lower tier of 8 teams again is our qualifier. And those are the teams that made up the Sevens Challenger Circuit, the top 4, and then the bottom 4 from the HSBC Sevens 2024. We shared this story last summer about Fijiana not receiving wages for their national team duties, and it appears after the Singapore Sevens event that there was another snafu. Evidently, the airport in Singapore closes quite early, and so it was a little bit of a perfect storm, this situation where the manager who would normally take care of accommodations for the team wasn't available. It was at another event, and the assistant coach also at another event, so it fell to the head coach who didn't understand the requirements of this airport and the extra night needed. So the team slept outside. This is unacceptable. The FRU, of course, has apologized only after photos came to light, but this cannot continue to happen to our women's teams. It is unacceptable. Now that brings us to another unacceptable issue. The Kenya Lionesses have been unpaid for wages for Sevens events, and then, of course, the Africa Cup, where there were rumors that they may cancel their last match against Cameroon. They did go forward and play that match, but they're not paying their members and their national teams for the duties, and they've got to work this out. Now switching over to 15's news, Japan defeated Hong Kong and Kazakhstan in the week to win the Asia Championships. They also qualified for WXV2 and the 2025 Rugby World Cup. In the Oceania Championships, Fiji beat Tonga 48-3, while the Samoa versus PNG match was canceled due to unforeseen travel issues. We've asked what will happen with that match because, of course, these matches lead to WXV and 2025 Rugby World Cup. But in our theme this week, another case where the teams couldn't arrive on time. So manager issue, union issue, whatever it is, our women's teams are not being taken care of, and these little details are letting them down. In the last match of the Pacific Four Series, Black Ferns made a statement with a win over Australia, 67-19. Of course, Canada wins the entire series, their first time ever. They beat New Zealand for the first time ever, but good to see the Black Ferns getting back to their winning ways. Australia 0-3 in this campaign. With all these matches, it means we need to update our WXV qualified teams tracker. New Zealand and USA qualified for WXV1. Australia qualified for WXV2. Japan is in WXV2. And then, of course, we've got our runner-up matches happening in the Asia Championships. In the Oceania, we'll have 2 teams in WXV. That means we now have 11 of our 16 teams for the 2025 Rugby World Cup in England. Japan joins the ranks. And then, of course, we'll have the Spain-Wales playoff and the Colombia-Brazil playoff in June. And then our WXV3 winner and WXV3 runner-up. And then, of course, the Oceania champion, which Fiji looks to be on their way for that. And the second annual Amanda Mark Cup, part of the Bingham Cup, was in Roma this year. The winners of that one, ARC Lowlanders out of Rugby Amsterdam. Villorba defeated Valsugna 19-12 to become the Italian champions of the Series A Elite, second time in their history and 5 years after their historic title in 2019. The Blue Babes won Netherlands honor class by defeating DIOK 31-10 in the championship. Saracens secured a home semifinal thanks to their narrow 33-31 win over Gloucester Hartpury and round 17 of Allianz PWR. Loughborough, Bristol, and Sale also saw wins. DHL Western Province handed the Bulls Daisies their first defeat in 2 years, while the Border Ladies and Sharks won on the road in round 6 of South Africa's Women's Premier Division. Sao Paulo Capital continues to lead and remains undefeated after 3 rounds in Brazil's 15s league. The Guardian gave us a few more details about USA's WER League, including details on talks with the current WPL teams and stipends versus salaries in the first year. That closes out the week for us. Never miss an episode. You can subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and of course, all of our social media channels to never miss out.